I've said it before, but lately I have been really enjoying this process. Um, I've spoken before about how this writing process, the entire aspect of it, is just in many ways um, a series of peaks and valleys, right? It's the highs and the lows. You go through a period of time where you're loving what you're doing. There are times when you hate it, and obviously, just the times you love it seem to outweigh the times you hate it, and that's why you keep going back to it. Even if objectively there are probably more periods of low times than high times, like if you took everything in totality, I'd imagine you probably have more low days with your writing than you do with high days, just in total. But the feeling you're getting from those high days is kind of worth all those kind of low ones combined, even if they outweigh it. Uh, at least that's how I've always seen it. That there's always more bad than good in this process, but the feeling of the good always still outweighs the cumulative amount of the bad. Um, and today it was just another awesome day where it was precision. I was at the computer and just going through and making edits. And right now it's just looking for repeated words, just repeated phrases and words. That tends to be my weakest area in my writing. Is I tend to overuse certain words, certain expressions in my writing. I'll use the same word like three times in like the same in the same paragraph and not realize it. And they're obviously generic words, right? They're words like this particular short story is actually about a card game. So I'll use the term like cards, hands, poker, player, etc. multiple times in very short, basically like in short chunks. Inevitably what happens is when you work on these first drafts, you want your sentences to sound strong and to sound clear. But at least for me, I do my first draft. I'm not so concerned with word choice in terms of needing to substitute certain words for other ones. I tend to stick to just my crutch words, and with that, as long as the sentences sound good in isolation, like just by themselves, the sentences sound good and strong. I don't. To me, who cares if I've used the same word over and over again? It does not occur to me in that first draft. It's kind of the later stages, what you're seeing now, where I have to go back through and realize how much I've relied upon certain terms, and then just make certain changes up to certain sentences and certain word choice. And it's never as easy as just right clicking your word processor and clicking synonym and changing the word to something else. um, Word choice and word selection does have a rhythm. It has a certain beat to it, has a certain syntax to it. And so when you are selecting your word choice, you have to factor in how it sounds, how the rhythm is. Is that word that you're substituting, that synonym that you're using, is it as strong of a terminology that you can use? Is there a closer word to the term you're trying to define? It's a lot of factors that go into this. And if you're like me and you're really nerdy, this is awesome. This is the fun, right? Like this is where you kind of get your jolly from, in a way, right? Um, you sort of get off on the fact that you're making these sentences sound awesome and crisp, and you can read them aloud back to yourself, and they sound really good. Uh, but for other writers, this is probably the drudgery, right? If you're someone who likes the first draft, who loves to be creative with the idea, with the plot, with the story, but you don't like the hard work of kind of making the edits, and that's certainly fine. This is probably a part that sucks for you. That's basically how it goes with people. Like they tend to be one or the other. You tend to either love creating something out of nothing, or you enjoy taking something and revising it to be something better. Um, my opinion on this is kind of matured over the years, where I'm now someone who loves revising, not so much the first draft process. Early on, I loved the first draft, but obviously I'm working on a short story now, and with it, that's where a lot of the perfectionism gets to be fun, right? That's where a lot of the need to make things perfect, to get these sentences to sound right and strong and all that stuff. That's where you get to play, because it's such a small platform that you can go really in depth with these works. There's more pressure on you because sentences and prose will stick out more in a short story, just because there's less of it to read. So people in general, basically, when you're looking at novels, can get lost in like 300 pages. When you have a short story that's maybe like 10, 20 pages long, it's much what you write is going to stick out more just because there's less of it. And so your sentences, basically, you have to get them to shine a little bit more. I think when it comes to short fiction, there's more of an art to that. And with the brevity comes this fun challenge, which I'm loving. Again, this doesn't last forever. This feeling does not last forever, but right now it's feeling awesome. Yeah, it's interesting too. I'm not even done with a month yet, and I'm already a good portion through this second story here, getting it edited up, which I think that's pretty darn good. My overall goal for the entire year, what I had planned to do for the entire year was get maybe 7 short stories done by the end of the year, 7 complete stories that I could send off for the collection. Now, that doesn't seem so challenging. That doesn't seem so far off, to be honest. It might be, it still might be a big challenge here, but um, man, for now, it doesn't feel like um, that crazy of a goal, I guess. So with that, I'm gonna sign off here. I will see you all next week, um, or tomorrow, I should say, next week. I'm gonna be posting up my chess video in the next day or two for this week. That was another hard week. Um, I'm always glad to have multiple hobbies. I will say, if you're ever having trouble with some aspect of your life, like some project or something sucks, just pick up a hobby. Like, pick up something else to do, something else to do, because inevitably, basically, while your first main thing is sucking, usually your hobby will be the opposite of that. So if you're doing really really terrible with your writing, pick up a hobby. I'm sure the hobby will go awesome, and then vice versa. At least that's for me. My writing goes awesome. My chest starts to suck, and just, yeah, back and forth there. It's always, I can never have 3 aspects of my life going awesome at the same time. It never happens. My writing, weightlifting, and chess can never go awesome at the same time. It's always one's great or two's great and the other's completely sucking. I can never get all 3 to line up. But the good thing is that if one thing sucks, you have at least one of the other things going on. That's awesome. That can kind of hold your interest a little bit. Um, Many times in this process, I have felt a large satisfaction in knowing that's been immensely helpful in periods of time where I've been frustrated, well, with certain things. But anyways, I'm going to wrap this up here. I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, happy writing.